Opposition leader Juan Guaido, who declared himself interim president last week, while the U.S. hits disputed President Nicolas Maduro's regime in the wallet.
They are squeezed for cash, and that could get a lot worse in the near future with the oil sanctions put in place by the U.S. This could cost the government of Venezuela more than $7 billion over the next few years. Selling oil, about 500,000 barrels a day, to the U.S. is really just about their only source of cash for this government. So instead, now we see Maduro really cozying up to the military. He's trying to shore up their support, but without the funds to pay for that support, it's not clear how solid a foundation it is.
Fox's Steve Harrigan in Caracas. Meantime, Maduro has said he is willing to meet with the opposition, but the country's top prosecutor is targeting Guaido. Closing arguments at the federal trial of Joaquin Guzman, better known as reputed Mexican drug lord El Chapo.
Prosecutor Andrea Goldberg began summarizing the government's case by discussing murders allegedly committed by the defendant, saying he wanted to eliminate competition for the Sinaloa cartel. She also says the government has shown through testimony from 14 cooperating witnesses the multitude of ways El Chapo brought drugs into the U.S. and the numerous escape options he had. She said their testimony showed that he was the head of the cartel, even calling shots after his eventual arrest and imprisonment. Prosecutors have today to recap their case for a life sentence for El Chapo. The defense will close tomorrow. In New York, Gernal Scott, Fox News.
The jury could get the case Friday. An interstate standoff in Mississippi, where Jackson County Sheriff's officials say they're negotiating to try to get a truck driver armed with a machete out of his rig. It apparently all started as a road rage incident with another trucker. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Security Title is honored to sponsor Ray Gibson on The Point. In 2019, we resolved to continue our mission of protecting and ensuring the land and homes of our beautiful island. Additionally, we resolved to maintain our vital connection to our families and our community. Protehi Itanomo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for our all-new Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. How would you like it?
I'll take a skeptical grandma.
Set in her ways?
A smidge.
Grandma, try this Ultimate Meatball Marinara made with Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. Melted mozzarella, Parmesan, garlic butter spread. It's just like yours.
Like mine? My grandmother's recipe?
Try it.
You know, my grandmother's cheesy garlic bread was never all that.
Subway, make it what you want. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
At the heart of everything we do is our mission to improve the life of every child. From mungy nennies to growing teens, they'll be in trusted hands at FHP Health Center, where we offer comprehensive pediatric services to nurture and protect your child's health from day one. Begin your little one's journey to good health at FHP with seasoned pediatricians and professional staff who hold decades of combined experience. FHP Health Center, our island, your clinic.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 6 a.m. this Thursday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Governor Lou Leon Guerrero says she will seek a total Guam exemption in an effort to lift the current restrictions on the H-2B visa program and relieve the shortage of skilled foreign workers on island that she says has already had a detrimental effect on the local economy. The H-2B crisis topped the list of issues raised by the governor in her speech to the Guam Chamber of Commerce at the Hilton yesterday. She called the decision by Homeland Security to remove the Philippines from the list of countries eligible to participate in the H-2B program first and foremost on everyone's mind. However, she noted the rule change does allow an exemption for workers, that is, who are needed for projects related to the military buildup. She said, our approach, therefore, will be that all construction projects on island are tied to the military buildup. That's the case she said she'll make to Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen when she goes to Washington at the end of next month. Our case for a total Guam exemption is strong, said the governor. We are gathering the evidence now, and we will make our case based on the numbers, she said. Acting GMH Administrator Lillian Perez Posadas met yesterday with the visiting survey team from the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. She met with the CMS surveyors after their inspection of the GMH Skilled Nursing Unit in Barrigada, which provides long-term rehabilitative care for GMH patients. The CMS team is on island to check up on the results of the corrective action plan the hospital submitted to the agency last August after a CMS inspection in April of last year found serious deficiencies which threatened the hospital's Medicare certification, putting millions of dollars in federal Medicare funds at risk. Posadas told the Guam Daily Post yesterday that she is confident the hospital has done its best to prioritize patient care and safety. The CMS inspection team arrived on island Monday, and they're expected to present their exit report today. We'll have more news after this.
Do you know someone who has difficulty following conversation in noisy places or turns up the TV a little too loud? These may be signs of a hearing loss. Ross Hearing Aids specializes in hearing evaluations, custom-fit hearing aids using the latest in wireless digital technology, and custom-fit hearing protectors. Call Ross Hearing Aids today to schedule a complimentary hearing consultation. 637-HEAR, 637-HEAR. Ross Hearing Aids, located across Shirley's in Harmon.
Save big. Save really big when you bundle up your insurance policies with Nanbo Insurance. Insure your home, auto, motorcycle, or business with Nanbo and enjoy great savings, up to 50%. When it comes to insuring your property, no one knows better than the company with over 50 years of service to the community. Don't compromise the things that matter to you most. Call Nanbo today at 477-9754 or visit nanbo.com for more information. Nanbo Insurance, serving you since 1968.
10 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. The 35th Guam legislature held its first public hearing yesterday, and two tax-related measures were among the bills lawmakers heard testimony on. One of them was the or more bill that would enable the implementation of a tax increase on property improvements worth $1 million or more. The other would expand the tax exemptions afforded to small businesses. Senator Joe San Augustine's Bill number 4 is a reintroduction of a measure former Senator Tom Atta introduced back in November. It merely adds the words or more to the 2019 budget law so that the increase in the tax on property improvements will apply to improvements on properties valued at $1 million or more. Acting BBMR Director Lester Carlson testified in favor of the measure, saying failure to pass it would result in a $9 million shortfall in the Territorial Education Facilities Fund, and that would force 7 GovGuam agencies to cut their budgets, with the biggest blow falling on the Guam Department of Education, which would have to cut spending by $4.5 million. One problem raised during the hearing is that the property tax bills were already mailed out last month, and that means the affected property owners will now get another bill reflecting the higher tax rate if Bill number 4 is passed and signed into law. Carlson recommended the adoption of additional language to Bill 4 that would allow the tax increase to be retroactively enforceable, and Senator San Augustine, who used to be a tax investigator at Rev and Tax, said the reissuance of the property tax can still happen. The governor, he said, who is the tax commissioner, can authorize a rebilling. I know that for a fact, he said. The Appropriations Committee also heard testimony on Senator Regine Bisco-Lee's Bill number 1, which would increase the number of small businesses eligible for an exemption from the business privilege tax by raising the exemption from $40,000 now to $50,000 as long as the business's total income does not exceed $250,000. GITA Acting Administrator Melanie Mendiola cautioned that the change might put current bond covenants at risk, and she suggested clarifying language to reassure bondholders that there would be no interruption of the revenue stream. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with a look at weather.
I have partly sunny skies and breezy with a slight chance of light showers. Northeast winds 15 to 25 miles an hour. Highs near 88 degrees. And overnight lows of about 77 degrees. But I tell you what now, I was creeping around outside last night and it was cold. It was nippy, if you will.
Yeah, more than anything, windy. And with that misty rain that was falling, it made things feel rather chilly. Taking taking a look at the radar that I just got to send to you. And the reason I didn't send it at first is because, well, quite frankly, there's just not a whole lot affecting us.
There's nothing there.
Yeah, the shear line is down to our southeast now, and it continues to push on off. And that will be what continues to happen for the next several days. We got high pressure building in from the north, and that's why the winds have kicked up quite nicely. Even got some winds out there this early morning, and that's another thing. It's going to continue for the next couple of days, at least through today. Maybe a bit of a let up by tomorrow, but then I think back on Saturday we will get another bit of a surge of energy from the north, and that'll reinforce that high pressure and keep it building on in. Taking a look at satellite, yeah, you can see that big high pressure, that clockwise motion in the air.
It might take me a second to locate Guam on this thing.
Yeah, we're down. Yep, got to go further down.
Yeah, well, you keep talking. I'll see if I can find it better. It's somebody changed the setting. I think it was me.
Yeah, we're right down at the below. Yeah, right there. Yeah, there we go. Now we're kind of in the middle, and you can see high pressure building into our north. Actually, kind of another shear line. It looks like it might be approaching us from the northeast, and that might make it down. That's just, again, going to be a reinforcement of the current winds and air and temperatures, and actually shaping up to be a pretty nice weekend as things are looking at this point.
Grill marks? Is it too
yeah,
early
I think
to start
so.
talking
No,
about
absolutely. Grill marks. Yeah, if you don't mind the wind, it should be great.
Well, I'm okay with the wind. I just need to get out there and feel the sun and the sizzle and all of that.
Should be fine. Yeah,
right.
Actually, today, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday.
It's still crazy. The wind is still driving a whole lot of water and wave activity, so a high surf advisory in effect until 6 o'clock Friday along north-facing reefs. That's 6 Friday evening. High risk of rip currents through late Saturday night along north and east-facing reefs. And, yeah, I'm digging some of the pictures that you were taking and sticking on the socials, Facebook, Instagram. There are pictures of people enjoying the wave activity. And fortunately, they seem to be doing it from a good distance from the water. I'm over here. The waves are crashing over there. It ain't going to come out and get me, and I might actually survive this trip. Be very, very careful if you are trying to venture a little bit close. I get it. It's fun to watch. It's not every day we get to see that kind of nature. Just be careful when you get up close to it. 6:15, because it might bite you. At 6:15 in the morning, that's news and weather together. Brought to you by Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
Here at Make-A-Wish, our Wish kids wish for all kinds of things. A lot of them involve traveling to faraway places. On Monday, February 18th from 6 until 10, we'll be holding an airlines mileage drive with me, Ray Gibson, on 93.3 The Point, to help us grant these travel wishes. So if you've got spare airline miles, you can donate them without any transfer fees. Your donation will go a long way, and so will our Wish kids.
Portions of the program brought to you by my pals over at King's Restaurant. They're my pals because they know how I like everything. They come right out there and say, you like your coffee black and you want your eggs sunny side up with a little bit of dash of the Tabasco in there, and they bring all of the condiments that I like just right away. They're good at that because they've been watching us eat for decades. They want to watch you eat this morning, so swing by there for breakfast in Tamuning or Harmon. The program's also brought to you by the guys over at Mike Renesia Renewable Energy. There's never been a better time to go solar. Dudes over at Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs, and of course American President Lines, where they're shipping the future.
Cheers to 80 years. It's our 80th anniversary and the gifts are on us. 80 gift certificates, 8 shopping sprees, 8 staycations, and 1 round-trip flyaway for 2 to Manila. So how do you enter? Calvo's Insurance personal home and auto customers are automatically entered. Non-Calvo's customers may enter by receiving a qualified quote. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us for the past 80 years. For more details, visit calvos.com/giveaway or call 472-6816. Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years.
So which one am I doing? Is it the W? It's the W. W stands for Wendy's. That's what the hand sign is. He puts it up like that, and it almost starts to make my mouth water. So as I've said many times, we get these offers from our advertisers to entice you to try this meal or check out this service. So last night when it got to be dinner time, I decided, you know what, I'm going to try the spaghetti over at Wendy's, and I got to tell you, it's worth it. You know what? Let me try not to get you hungry for Wendy's spaghetti, since you can't have have it for a couple hours yet. But it's the zesty Italian sauce. They do it exactly right. Mounds of ground beef on the inside. It's just a platter of. It's basically a platter of ground beef with a few spaghetti noodles. Actually, a lot of spaghetti noodles and that zesty sauce. And then when it came to the noodles, believe it or not, right? You go on fast food. How good are they going to be? Al dente, just like the restaurant. You're going to enjoy this. $3.49 for the snack size and $6.49 for the meal size. And if you're like me, growing boy and all of that, heavy training, you might want to do it the way I do it, and that is go and get the spaghetti and try that, and then maybe a burger, a junior bacon cheeseburger on the side. That ought to round out the meal for you today at Wendy's.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
No, it's a fact. It's a fact. I'll say it to you right now. I am a complete and total wuss when it comes to cold weather. This time last year, I was over at had just come home from my dad's place where we celebrated Christmas together, and it was cold. New Year's Day went out on a run, and it was like, I don't know, 10 degrees or something like that. And what are the temps that we're hearing about now today? What was the number coming out of Chicago? A lady on Fox News just said it, like 27. No, is it like minus 27, right? And that was without the wind chill factor. Did you hear it?
I didn't. No.
Isn't this about the best
There's
reason?
a polar vortex. Is that what they're calling it?
It just seems like every year there's a different name. Yeah. So there it is. Did you hear the weather snob there a second? Well, that's what the media calls it. Okay, so not polar vortex. What is it then?
It's just cold air. There's no such thing as a polar vortex. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
It's just the thing of cold air coming.
Actually,
somebody left the refrigerator open.
Yeah, vortex is actually a word you use to describe low pressure, and this is actually high pressure. It's cold air that started out in the Arctic and has made its way down. And yes, there's a difference between Arctic and polar air. And this is Arctic air. This is stuff that originated very far up around the North Pole and has moved on down into Canada and in the northern U.S. And frankly, it's really not all that rare. It happens.
But it didn't happen last year too, right?
They had a shot of cool air. I don't think it was quite this cold, but just like 3 or 4 years ago they had one. So it happens.
What then is the media telling people to do in this kind of weather? What is the advice that folks over at the National Weather Service are giving? Because I mean that'll kill you temperature, right?
There's not a whole
outside.
lot. Yeah, there's not a whole lot you can do. The best thing to do is just stay inside because the human body is not constructed to even be out in that kind of temperature.
They're talking about we're not going to be delivering any. The pizza deliveries are shut down, and we're not going to be delivering mail, and the schools are going to be closed. And the worst thing I heard was that there's several breweries out in that part of the country that are not delivering.
That is tragic. Seriously tragic.
Can you imagine? I mean, it's one thing. It's one thing to be stuck in the house, right? You get cabin fever, and then it's the one where you say, "At least I got a 6-pack over here." But no, step back one. Not so fast. You don't necessarily. Ismail online referring to it as Siberia, Chicago. Stay safe, stay warm. That's why we're here on Guam. So here I am, just a total wuss talking about how I was outside last night, scarfing down the spaghetti from Wendy's. Sitting out there watching the neighborhood and thinking, I can't actually sit out here and watch the neighborhood because it was cold and it was breezy at the same time. This is absolutely crazy. So I stood in the door because I actually had almost a nice little warmth coming in from the house. Anyway, welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. It is the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. I think you've already met my colleagues, but for those of you just tuning in, just today, discovering the greatness that is this program. It's my colleagues here. Michael Knight, he gets the phone when you call. 888-8255. That's 888-TALK. And he'll love to talk to you about anything. You talk to him about weather, current events, medicinal marijuana, CBD, all of that. He'd be happy to have that conversation. Frankly, I'd be happy to have the conversation with you as well. So maybe he'll push the button and you can come all the way into the studio with me. If not, send me your stuff at 988-5874. That's 988 TALK. No, wait, no, that's not. 5874 is not TALK. That's KUSG. 988 KUSG is our our WhatsApp number, and yeah, I've already got a couple of things that were sent to me on the WhatsApp. I'll share those with you in a minute. Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post, and a look at all of the big stories, all the major stuff, and I will start today's program. You know, I try not to have an ego. I try not to be that guy on the radio that's constantly talking about how smart I am, how brilliant I am. But every once in a while, I'll make a prediction and I'll actually get it right. Every once in a while, it's not often. But in fact, it's almost a rarity that I will make a prediction and it will come true. The prediction that I made, you remember this, Mike, yesterday in the morning, I made the prediction. I said, tomorrow the news is going to be all about Lulian Guerrero and her visit with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've seen the front page of the Guam Daily Post today. Is there's governor to seek total exemption from labor ban, and there's a picture of Lulian Guerrero at the Chamber of Commerce. See, Joe Arnett's there, and everybody calls, oh, look, governor here, governor here. So that's the cover of the Daily Post here, Pacific Daily News. But we're going to get our $60 million, and there it is, Lulian Guerrero there again, Joe Arnett and the guys, Mark Tiquito from over at the bank, and they're going, yeah. So listening intently to every word that Lulian Guerrero said. So I got one right. For those that are keeping track, Ray Gibson got one right this morning. 6:23. Let's go say hello to everybody's.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
All right, I told you Ismael was there. I see Juanita Machi, Bob Delphin, Hafalai, Nick Perlasky with his traditional hoik. Dwayne Santos, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, too, as well. The other Governor, Leon Guerrero, Ken Leon Guerrero, is online. That's just, I'm sorry, that's brilliant. Greg Massey is there. Greg Massey is there, and Greg will remember a conversation that we had just a few weeks ago when they were talking about the hotel getting an exemption for the H-2B labor because they'd made the case that the construction of this hotel could be tied to the military buildup. Therefore, we could get the exemption. And what is it that the governor was saying over at the chamber yesterday? That's exactly how they are going to pursue the exemption on the H-2Bs, is to say that all of the construction on Guam should be considered the military buildup related. I mean, if we're doing something on the roadway, you know, the military folks are going to be driving on the roadway. If we need to build a new restaurant, you know, it's not just locals that are going to be eating there. Military and their families will be eating there as well, sometimes in uniform. Sometimes they won't be in uniform. Sometimes they'll ask for the military discount. Sometimes they won't. But there's still going to be some kind of impact if we're going to be doing some infrastructure work. You know, it's not just locals that are going to be flushing the toilet. So all construction on Guam should be considered a part of the military buildup. And so I said it, and out of the mouth of the governor yesterday at the Chamber of Commerce, that same logic is going to be their plan moving forward.
How about building some affordable housing that regular Guamanians can live in?
Okay, so if that, believe it or not, yes. If you think about it, if we can get our hands, if we get access to lower cost labor, then it might bring the cost of construction down out from under a couple of $100 a square foot.
Yeah, not only that,
I mean, you've got material costs as well that need to go into it, and then you've got to think about who it is that you're going to be renting to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then the military gets to rent most of these places that most people could rent, and since they get what is it, $2,500 a month allowance or something, and so the landlords jack the price up to about $2,350, where I can't afford it.
That's economics 101. Well, supply demand. I mean, and if you've got a house that is military rentable, if you meet the standards, and they're fairly high standards for some of these houses, a certain amount of electricity and internet jacks and things like that. I forget all of the things that go into it. But if you make the investment, you're taking your money, you're putting it at risk. You take the investment and you put this house together, then you should be able to get top dollar in rent. Don't you agree?
I would say so. That's why
Yeah.
we need affordable housing for regular people, because
Yeah, but
somebody
I
like
don't-
me could never afford to rent one of those.
I just don't know. I don't know who's going to be taking the bite without some kind of assistance. Now there are a couple of guys out here, and maybe it's time that we start ringing them up again. I'll find a couple. In fact, we'll call put Carlos Camacho on the list. Put Carlos Camacho on the list. We'll find out what he has been working on lately, because he's generally the go-to guy. The idea is, the construction costs are going to be up. The labor costs are up. The materials costs are up. We're still, just because we got H-2B visas approved for whatever work it's going to be done, it still doesn't mean that we're that much closer to the sources of our supplies. It's still got to get shipped out here. It's still got to get stuck on warehouse shelves. It's still got to get sold. And there's costs that get added to it, value that gets added to it each step along the way. So about the only way that you might be able to get that affordable housing you're looking for is to find somebody that can help subsidize it, i.e. the federal government of the United States of America, or this new administration, if they're able to find some of that grant work. Anyway, 628. There's a few other people online this morning. My buddy J.G. Tatminglu is there saying buenas and half a day. Rene Lau, good to see you, bud. Melissa Akimoto, John San Nicholas saying, have a great Thursday Fry. That's his word for today, Thursday Fry. Tony and Annette and Pinko Ada, nice to see. Joe Flores is there with his morning wishes. Lorraine Perez. Lynn Vince Borja Polino. And it's nice to see her early. She was a little bit late yesterday, but who keeps track of that kind of thing? Actually, I do. Cheryl Ochai, Lillian Cruz, good morning and half a day to you. Rico Blancaflor. Rico, did you already share the program? Richard Yu is online. Nice to see my partner here. Alfredo Mendoza, Teresa Arroyo Matanani, Heather Perez, Rodros Greeno, Arnold Manai. Hey, that's my buddy from the mall. Greg Karabrock is online as well. My cousin from Las Vegas is there. Henry Gonzalez. You might also see a post from me here this morning, and it is a link to Claret Rain and the students at the University of Guam. They conducted a study on the perception of corruption on Guam. Is there corruption? Wait, didn't I ask that question leading up all the way up to the election last year? Was I not asking the question? Is it about the perceptions of corruption on Guam? And as it turns out, there's a number of people who feel that there is a lot of corruption. It's the feeling is it's high. The feeling of corruption on Guam is high. Now, I'm kind of curious to see what the timeline was. I mean, do you think it's high now? Do you think it is higher now than it was before? Do you think it is lower now than it was before? So we'll go over some of the study work a little bit later on. Claret will be join us on the phone in just a little bit. Running buddy Roy Burgess is online, and keep an eye on that guy's times. They keep coming down. Ed Massey, good to see. Linda Gabriel is there. Florence Cruz, John Ruane is watching the program, and so is Alicia Canata. Carl T.C. Gutierrez, former governor, and Carl, is it true? Did you get Jeff Marchessault? Is that where he ended up? So we were talking about this a little bit earlier offline, Kevin and I, and talking about where everybody has gone. So Crystal is no longer at KUAM. Crystal Paco is no longer at KUAM.
That's right. She's the press secretary now over at Antelope.
And Janella Carrera has also taken a press position.
The communications director.
What's the difference?
Don't know.
And so Jeff is working. The story is Jeff is over at Carl's place. He's going to be helping him chief advise, right?
That's it.
All right. So and so it's just us now. I think it's me and you and Sabrina and Nestor. This is the last ones that haven't taken a government position yet. Odessa, Manley, Akfadzi, Palacios, Anita Mofness with the Valentine's Eyes, and Ismail and John Ray and Vivian Castro, Bob Ellsworth, Raira Nicholas, Doris Mendiola, Robert Ellsworth says military needs to lower the allowance and then the landlords would lower the rent. Shut up! No, keep that. I know too many people that are making extra money with this, and for the most part, some of the people that I've seen that do have some military clients in their houses, apartments, etc., are actually using that money to develop more properties or to join up with some of the other guys. So I don't know. I'd kind of like to see where the status quo leads us for a while. Manny Balmeo is there. Joey San Nicolas, Tommy Barcinas already said is there. and happy anniversary. Renee is wishing us a happy anniversary. Actually, Renee, the anniversary program is tomorrow, brought to you by Greg Karabrock and the guys over at Take Care Insurance, and the reason why is because that was the actual start date of the program. It was February 1st, right? Is the way I remember that last year, and it has been a wild and woolly year. May I say? It's a ton of great interviews, and I don't know. You know, I gauge the success of the program over the course of a year, pretty much the same way I gauge the success of the program on a daily basis. Did I have fun? Did I have a good time? Did I kill 4 hours on the air? Right? And for the most part, yeah, I can look back over the year and say, dudes, we killed it.
Yeah.
We absolutely
Technically
killed it.
speaking, our start date was the 2nd last year.
Really?
But the 2nd's on a Saturday, so we are going to party tomorrow.
Okay, all right. And what kind of party is it going to be? I don't know. I got a couple of, maybe a Bluetooth thing that we're going to be giving away, and we'll throw some kind of trivia up on the radio that will be so easy. Everybody's going to get it. So I want you to be listening for that. Anyway, it's 6:32. I've ranted long enough, and it's time for me to find out if there's anything new to rant about. And in order to do that, we jump to Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post. Here's our first look at headlines.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning: a study conducted by the University of Guam Regional Center for Public Policy has concluded that the perception of corruption on island has increased substantially in recent years. According to the study, about 2/3 of respondents believe corruption is a very serious problem on island. Political parties were viewed as the most corrupt, while religious, military, and nonprofit organizations were viewed as least corrupt. The Guam Corruption Perception Report is the first attempt to measure the perception of corruption. Its authors say the aim is to provide a benchmark for comparison with other countries over time. The results were announced yesterday at a news conference at the university. UOG professor of economics Maria Ruen said that the results are based on a survey of Guam residents conducted by the School of Business and Public Administration. The island's only medical examiner, Dr. Aurelio Espinola, has now retired, effective today, and no replacement has been hired yet. No one has been identified to conduct autopsies now that Dr. Espinola has retired. The Commission on Post-Mortem Examination was supposed to meet yesterday to decide what to do about that, but the meeting was canceled. No new meeting date has been set. The Commission has oversight over the medical examiner's office. It is unclear who will perform autopsies now. A budget shortfall, which prompted pleas to the administration for help, complicates the issue. Dr. Espinola told the Guam Daily Post earlier this week that he has been asked to remain on call until his replacement is found and arrives on island. But Dr. Espinola told the Post that, "I have to talk to my wife to see if I can be on call after this week." A man charged with shooting a teenager in Agate in 2016 entered a plea of no contest in Superior Court yesterday. 24-year-old Calvin Jesus Anderson pleaded no contest to charges of aggravated assault and a special allegation of possession and use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony. As part of his plea deal, Anderson agreed to help the government find the gun he used in the shooting 2 years ago. According to court documents, back in 2016, Anderson shortchanged a group of teenagers after buying alcohol for them. He then rode past the group when they were outside a home on Santa Cruz Street in Agate and shot and injured Sammy Ketty, according to the plea agreement. Ketty was shot in the hip, underwent surgery, and was hospitalized for 2 weeks. He told police afterwards that Anderson had fired 4 to 7 shots at him. Presiding Judge Alberto Lamarena set a sentencing hearing for May 1st. Anderson faces a maximum sentence of 25 years in prison. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
I got 6:36. We'll call that iConnect time, and swing by iConnect or find them on the World Wide Web at iConnectGuam.com and ask them about the great deals they've got lined up for 2019. Push to talk mobile internet plans from iConnect.
At Chili's, our burgers stack up with anyone's. Handcrafted to order, smashed to lock in flavor on a toasted brioche bun. Our burgers are all kinds of perfect. Choose from the Chili's Chili, the Mushroom Swiss, the Ultimate Bacon, or you know what? We dare you to take on the Boss Burger. Loaded with smoked brisket, rib meat, jalapeno cheddar sausage, and bacon. We may have really out-burgered ourselves. Our burgers are more than a handful, served with garlic, dill pickles, and fries. So hurry in today and enjoy our juicy, melty, yummy, handcrafted creations. Perfection between two buns. Chili's, more life happens here.
It'll be like driving in paradise today. I'm looking at all of the major intersections, everything looking smooth, north, central, and south right now. Nothing to bite you in the Sumai area. Nothing headed going to cause any problems up in the Jigo area around Anderson Air Force Base. And it looks like it's fairly clear around the around Navy Hospital area. Looking central right now. Don't see anything major. Obviously, there's traffic moving between the north and the central parts of the island, but it doesn't look like anything is going very, very slow. You might see just a little tiny bit of congestion at the McMobile intersection. I'm sorry, not the it's not the McMobile. It's just the McDonald's intersection on Route 16. Traffic trying to get out of there and onto the roadways, and that might just be because of a stuck light or something like that. 6:37. Enjoy the drive. That's right now. Traffic on the point.
Picture KFC's world-famous extra crispy chicken. Now, imagine it glistening in hot honey sauce. Just think about the crispy, sweet heat. Now it's in your sights. Reach for it. Almost there. Oops, this is a KFC radio commercial. But you can make your picture a reality by getting a Hot Honey Tenders basket.
Also available in Hot Honey Chicken Family Meals. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
The Ray Gibson Show.
Ooh.
Any speaker, anytime. Morning talk that matters.
Is that guy still on the air? After all these years, imagine that. 22 minutes away from 7 o'clock in the morning. Welcome to Thursday, the small Friday. I don't know, what do you want to call it? The pre-Friday celebration. If that's working for you, if that's what motivates you out of bed and into life this morning, then I got no problems with that. We'll just keep it going. A couple of notes that I want to share with you, though, before I do anything else, and that is at midnight tonight, the rates for the Guam International Marathon and the associated races, they got a 5, 10, a half marathon, and a full-blown marathon, are going to be going up. But that's not, for me, the big deal. The big deal is at midnight tonight, you will lose your opportunity to customize your race bib. It's unique enough. The idea that you're going to be involved in this fiesta of races is unique enough. But now they've given you an opportunity to create a bib memory, if you will. I mean, you're going to get a nice shirt. You're going to get a mat, and then there's the after party and everything. And the medal. You'll get a finisher's medal, right, for whatever race you're in. But the other thing is you'll also have another souvenir, and that is something that might have your name on it or your favorite Bible quote on it or a nickname and things like that. Now, I did try to put in a few clever, if you will, local words. And unfortunately, I couldn't get the spelling right. It's only 10 characters, so there's certain things that it wouldn't allow me to do. So I just went with the simple Ray Gibson. That's how I customized mine, because it's cool to have your name. It's cool to have your name on a racing bib. Anyway, get to the World Wide Web, United Guam Marathon, and start signing up. And maybe a little bit later on, if I get motivated, I'll actually put that link there so you can see it online. 20 minutes away from 7 o'clock in the morning. A couple of other things that I think are going to be interesting. Again, the governor at the chamber yesterday and a meeting with them to talk about a variety of things. Her first opportunity to talk to the chamber as the governor. The last time that she was there, she had talked to them as candidate Lulian Guerrero. So I thought that was kind of interesting to see that transition between where she is, where she was, and where she is now, and some of the things that she said she was going to do. I'm going to Washington, D.C., and I'm going to talk to Trump, and I'm going to try to do get what's best for Guam. So I'm delighted that among the things that she's talking about is finding a way to get us into a place where Guam doesn't have to pay all of the EITC. That was a big deal. It's a big drain on the resources around here, and one for which many people around have said for years now that we should not have been paying. An unfunded mandate from the federal government of the United States of America, and it is possible now that at least the Trump White House is talking about sending $60 million. Now, my guess is that it's probably more than, we probably owed more in EITC funds. What do you think? Tom the Hammer Adda has been in the legislature for a while and might have a memory or two of all that, right?
A little bit. I mean, you know, it was always it's about a $70 million a year price tag on it.
Yeah, and how long have we been paying it now?
Oh God, longer than I can remember.
I mean, it started. The payment started. One guy, it was Tony Sanchez when he was chief of the governor's office that authorized a payment, and that opened the floodgate for everybody else to get their EITC payments. Is my recollection right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, now, in your estimation as a policymaker, could we at some time have just stopped paying it? And said, no, you know what, we're going back to the theory that Carl Gutierrez had, that it was an unfunded mandate. Let's just stop paying it.
And that's what happened until finally, you know, that gate got opened and it just.
No, but what I'm asking is, do you think we could reclose the gate?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's probably a question that needs to be asked to the lawyers. But I mean, you know, I guess we could try and then see what happens, right?
What's the worst? And we just go and say, well, this is because my recollection is that the federal government was never brought in on that case. It was taxpayers versus the government of Guam, and the judge said, really, there ought to be somebody from the Fed here. I don't know why they aren't in this case.
Yeah, so I guess the danger in doing that is that, you know, we've already set the precedent for paying it. And then if we decide now to turn off the spigot, and you know, and then the federal government comes back and says, no, you got to pay it, and so now we got to continue paying that $70 million expense on top of whatever legal expenses we're going to incur trying to, you know, get out of this.
Well, yeah, it's the lawyers are always the ones that get rich. 6:43 in the morning. I keep wanting to say Senator Tom Adda, Airport Administrator Tom Adda now, and a couple of thoughts on how's the construction going.
You know, I mean, of course, the projected completion time is looking like it's going to probably extend out another 9 months from what was originally planned under the contract. And, you know, that's attributable to a various number of delays. So at least within the short time that I've been looking at it, you know, one of the contributing factors is that when the contractor is out there and he's trying to implement the design, sometimes he finds that what's actually existing out there is not the same as what was on the drawing.
Yeah.
And so then you got to go back to the original designer and say, well, you know, and so the original designer may have to go back to the drawing board, and so I've been finding that there's been a lag time of in some cases as long as 100 days.
Ouch.
Before a response comes back. So that's one of the things that we're going to need to really tighten up is to reduce that response time so that the contractor out there, when he has a question, it gets responded to as soon as possible. I attended the first meeting that I attended when I first got on board was, you know, I got up and I said, I'm going to own this project. GIAA is the contract, you know, we're the ones that's paying the bill. I'm going to be the contracting officer, and here are your points of contact. And when a problem comes up, it needs to get brought to the attention of the contracting officer. So I think we just got to get everybody on the same sheet of music. I think everybody has this, obviously everybody wants to finish this project as soon as possible so that they can move on and bid on other projects. So, you know, it's not a case of deliberately delaying so that they can, you know, collect more.
Is labor an issue?
Well, in my discussion with Black, and this was about 2 weeks ago, They have some H2 laborers on this project. It's not clear whether the recent ban affects those who are already on the job. But not that I'm aware of. I'm going to a meeting this morning. There's a weekly coordination meeting, and it's at that meeting that we find out, okay, guys, what are the problems? And, let's put our heads together to see how we're going to solve it.
Noted. There are a couple of other issues that are in front of the airport right now. One of them is what's the figure that the arbitration court has decided you need to pay back DFS for the bond?
Yeah, so I think it's
the deposit.
Yeah, I think it's up to about I want to say 2.9 million. And part of that, it's about 1.8 was the security deposit that the airport took. I mean, basically, went and claimed for back rent. And so that amount, of course, when it received that money, it set it aside. But the court's saying you got to get that back.
Yes.
And then on top of that, the plaintiff, in this case, duty free, is charging 6% interest on that money that was on that security deposit that was taken. And so that's that's a pretty sum of money, 6% off. I don't know, you figure it out. And then there's their lawyers' fees.
Yeah.
And the interest on the unpaid lawyers' fees. And then there's, of course, so all that has got to be paid. But so in an arbitration case, so your arbitration panel, they come up and they agree on an award, and then they have to go to the court, and the court has to affirm whether, in fact, the findings and by the arbitration panel is reasonable.
Yeah. Did not the court affirm that a couple of times already?
No, I think this is just the first time. I believe this is the first time. But at any rate, so the court, basically affirmed, but it never answered the question about, whether the tenant owes back rent. And the airport contends that it does. And that's money that, it has its fiduciary responsibility to collect on that, so that it can use that and invest on the people's facility, the airport. And so that question still needs to be answered. Now, so there's two issues here. There's one, do you go and continue fighting the arbitration? And I'm thinking, if you take a look at the YTK issue, I mean, those legal fees kept going up and up and up, and all that.
Well, is there an incentive for the lawyers to shut things down?
Well, whatever they're in, whatever motivates them, I think GIAA is the one that needs to make the decision. Do you make a business decision to cut your losses now and let's move on? But then, of course, come back in another arena and ask the question about, hey, but they still owe us back rent. Somebody's got to pay for that. So all these things are still being hashed out, and and so there's the legal perspective about the contract says this and that other contract says that, and then there's the business perspective of saying, guys, let's cut our losses and let's move on.
So it sounds like you're kind of still entertaining both sides of that question.
Well, I mean, this is a board decision, of course, that needs to be made. Yeah. But we need to kind of keep an open mind and see what the arguments are one way or the other.
And just get it off the table at some point. Say the arbitrators said this is what their decision was going to be, and pay it, and versus what the courts have affirmed. I think there are also some differences in opinion in terms of the entire DFS Lotte Guam International Airport case that's moving forward. On to happier stuff here. One of the guys from Virgin coming back to because I'm ready to get measured for my spaceport uniform.
So initially, I believe they were scheduled to come out February 19th. I believe that date might have been pushed back, but they were interested in coming in and making a courtesy visit with the governor and lieutenant governor. Insofar as where we are at with that particular project. Actually, the ball is in their court. They need to provide information to the the airport in terms of what their concept of the operation is, what kind of fuel, where they're going to store it, and that affects basically how the airport configures its area of operation for safety reasons and whatnot. Once the airport gets that information, they will then submit the necessary paperwork to FAA for further, regulatory vetting.
Yeah.
How long would that take? I don't know.
It depends on whether the government's open at the time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There's still that. I mean, we're in 2 weeks. Trump could shut down the government again and then declare the borders a national emergency and start building his wall.
Yeah, seriously. So
it could be like that. Were you affected at all by the government shutdown?
No. FAA on the other side of the runway continued to man their towers and brought in planes and had planes take off safely. TSA
kept coming to work.
The security checkpoints continued to be manned. I think they laid off. I know that they did put on furlough some of their administrative people, like the people in their training division and whatnot. I think those people got furloughed. The Customs and Border Patrol, as far as I know, they continued. Now the airport tried to recognize that some of these folks were of course were burdened by not receiving paychecks. So the airport did what it could within, parameters of what was allowed. For example, you can't give them a gift worth more than $20. But the airport, provided them with some drinks and maybe like one meal so that we kept it within the limits of what was allowed. So we tried to, at least kind of lighten the load.
Let them know that people were thinking about them. It's nice to get that kind of attention. 6:53. Last couple of things here, some ideas that and I don't know, maybe you ought to get around some frequent flyers and find out what other things that we can do to enhance the airport facility. I've got a couple of ideas. Hydro flask filling stations. I've seen this in a couple of airports where I've been. Where instead of making people buy bottled water at $5 a piece, just put these hydro flask filling stations, just like regular water dispensers, just all over the place, and then USB charging stations, because people live and die based on their laptops and their cell phones and their tablets. So if you got a lot of charging stations, people will want to be at the Guam International Airport.
Right, and in fact, I know that convenience that you're talking about is available up at GRMC. You put your phone in there, and I guess you lock it with a code.
Yeah.
And so you keep your phone charged. I've seen also that water, the flask machine.
Yes. Those are nice. Order some of those. Tell Jean Fenton order Fison. Fison Jean and tell her to order a bunch.
Another convenience that we're looking at, of course, is we're getting ready to undertake an expansion, putting in a couple more security checkpoints, check lanes for the TSA.
Ooh.
Because right now, I believe we only got like two actually.
Well, yeah, a couple of regular lanes, and then you've got the preferred traveler lane that you've got there for the guys that are first class and whatever. I forget the name of that, but yeah, it would be nice if there were a couple more doors that you could squeeze all those people through, because anybody's been at the airport at drive time at the Guam International Airport knows there's a little bit of a wait. Hey, I got to let you run. Tom DeHammer Ada over at the Guam International Airport. Always a delight talking with you, and we'll get caught up again soon.
Okay, great.
All right. It's the Ray Gibson Joe at 6:55 in the morning. Here's the big deal is the longer this construction goes at the airport, the more money it costs. And that ain't good for anybody, especially with some of the other financial drags on the place. They are still in active litigation between them and the duty-free people on a couple of different cases, one of which we talked about now, and the desire of, what happens when the guys from Virgin Atlantic say, yeah, we'd love to come out here and make Guam a spaceport, bringing all kinds of, I think, going to end up to be pretty cool jobs to Guam. What happens when they come over and say, we'll do this, Tom, if you build us this, or if we can have that put together over there. Where is the airport going to come up with the funds to get all of that? So we'll see if we can answer some of those questions as the days move through. But yes, have you already envisioned in your head what the uniform for the spaceport guys are going to be? Ponder that. Ponder that, why don't you? I've got a vision in my head, and it looks like kind of pseudo-Japanese sci-fi movies from the 1960s. I'd like our spaceport outfit to look like that. Rigo Blankenforce, water dispensers at the airport, great idea. Have you seen those? Have you seen? I'm trying to remember what airports in the States I've seen them at. Oh yeah, virtually all of them, and they're more. You remember in school we had the water thing, right? These are different because they're designed to pour water from the top into something like a hydro flask or a regular water bottle, and it'd be clean water, the same kind that you get at the water places that we have here, the little water kiosks outside the mom and pop stores. Just someplace where a traveler can go and hydrate themselves without it costing a fortune, because there's some pretty big costs involved. 888-825-888-TALK is the telephone number here at the radio station. Other items in the table of contents that I wanted to go over is and there'll be a story here in just a few minutes with Kevin Kerrigan about the state of post-mortem and the examination board. Dr. Aurelio Espinola, effective today, is no longer an employee of the government of Guam and the Guam Memorial Hospital.
He is retired. Yes,
retired. He might stick around, but he's got to
check with his wife.
Check with his wife. And there's not one of us, that hasn't had that feeling like, yeah, I'd like to do it. It looks like you might be able to put together a good holdover deal, but I got to check with the missus.
Get up, it's Jesus Day.
And see what she's got to say about because she might have had plans. She might be. Hey, we were supposed to go to the Philippines tomorrow. What do you mean you're going to stick around here for another couple of weeks? I got relatives waiting. We're not getting any younger here.
At least it's a good excuse.
Supposed to go to Boracay or someplace like that and go hang out on the beach, and you literally want to hang out with a bunch of stiffs on Guam. So I don't know what they're going to end up doing with that. Now, as I understand it, they still have to pay him out, right? He's still got the closing out dollars, right?
And that's left the budget short, so they don't have the money to hire a new one.
Okay.
So the payout of his retirement has depleted the budget for the medical examiner's office, so they don't have enough money to hire a new
guy.
Yeah. And they're pleading with the administration to provide some funds so that they can do that.
Right.
That hasn't happened yet.
Where's that money going to come from?
Yeah.
On top of all of the other...
From the property tax increase.
The property tax increase and more. No, that's already earmarked. That's territorial education fund,
right.
Isn't it? 6:59 and change. Tell you what, Fox News Live is coming up. There's a whole bunch of other stories that are interesting, and not the least of which that one there, where in order to pay out benefits that he's already earned, it would deplete the budget that they've got for the remainder of fiscal year 2019. So who is going to be our medical examiner? Is there anybody around here got those skills? Is there anybody that that might be able to bring in temporary locus tenens or something like that? I don't know. I'm sure they're looking into it, though. Another $5,000 just to pick up an airplane ticket to go and interview folks. Anyway, we're KUSG. Got your Fox News is coming up next. Kevin Kerrigan with the big stories. Extra Point with Jerry Roberts and a look at the market. That's all ahead right here on The Point.
Wall Street shakes off the cold. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The Dow up 417 points, the closing bell crossing back over 25K as the Fed chief speaks.
We continue to expect that the American economy will grow at a solid pace in 2019, although likely slower than the very strong pace of 2018.
Jay Powell says the economy's in a good place and that the Fed's main goal is to help keep it that way. Also, that they'll continue patience on future rate hikes, the central bank leaving interest rates unchanged today. It hasn't been this cold in decades in some states, and the weather system affecting much of the nation is deadly. Fox's Jeff Manasso is live in Kenosha County, Wisconsin.
Lisa, at least 7 deaths are blamed on the cold, and there are multiple power outages and natural gas outages from the Twin Cities to here in Wisconsin to Chicago, where thousands are without heat and as crews work in temps that feel like 40 below.
It's dangerous for them. They'll do a piece of the work, go warm up, and while they're warming up, the other crews takes over and does that work until all that gets taken care of.
That's ComEd spokesman Fidel Marquez. Hundreds of warming centers are now open from the Dakotas to the Northeast, where many schools could still be closed and flights canceled through the end of the week. Lisa.
Thanks, Jeff. And some of those deaths tied to the heavy snow that came before the cold. One man was struck and killed by a snow plow in the Chicago area. No apologies from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell over the blown call that some Saints fans say cost them a trip to the Super Bowl. Bottom line from Goodell, he understands the frustration, but referees make mistakes. And while instant replay could be expanded,
technology is not going to solve all those issues. The game is not officiated by robots. It's not going to be.
He also says he never considered overturning the Rams' win and that he wouldn't have had the authority in that case. This is Fox News.
Every time I travel, there's something from home that I can't leave without. I take my Docomo Pacific Data to Go to share my stories in Taiwan, check subway routes in Tokyo, be my food guide in Hong Kong, meet new friends in the Philippines, make updates in the States, find my way around Korea, and check out all the cool shows in Singapore. It's the data I have in all the places I love for only $10 a day. Data to Go from Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Are you not getting paid what you're worth? Or not reaching your full potential at your job? If you're pioneering, adventurous, competitive, love talking to people, and want to earn $100,000 per year, sell cars on U.S. military bases with Military Auto Source. Start on Guam, stay on Guam, or move to Japan or Korea. To see if you qualify, visit MASEastAsiaRecruiting.com. Military Auto Source, helping you reach your full potential.
Super security for Sunday's big game in Atlanta. Fox's Gernal Scott has this live.
Lisa, NFL security chief Kathy Lanier says safety for the Patriots-Rams Super Bowl is not at risk.
Even through the federal shutdown, we never missed a beat.
More than 65 agencies make up the security team, and while they won't be specific about tactics, Atlanta Police Chief Erica Shields says you'll see plenty of officers, and
we also are relying heavily on technology, and everyone that has come to the table has brought some shape or form of that for us to leverage.
Atlanta is hosting its third Super Bowl, the first in the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Lisa.
Thanks, Gernal. New talks underway in Washington aimed at finding common ground on border security funding. The Conference Committee, a bipartisan group of lawmakers from the House and Senate, was set up when the partial government shutdown ended. Temporary spending runs out 2 weeks from Friday. Meantime, at the southern border, both the U.S. and Mexico are trying to cope with the number of asylum seekers.
Tijuana officials have said they cannot handle the cost as more Central American migrants keep coming. Tijuana Secretary General Leopoldo Guerrero Diaz said their federal government needs to take more responsibility here.
We have already opened up shelter space, and now, having taken this path, we hope that following this agreement, there are resources to be allocated to look at this number of people.
This agreement being that those who want asylum in the U.S. must stay in Mexico while their cases are adjudicated in the U.S. Some migrants say they'll wait. They don't mind.
As long as they offer protection and care, they're willing to wait. She's fine with it. And she's in a shelter and she feels secure.
Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
San Diego is planning a temporary shelter to accommodate more migrants there. Recapping the big rally on Wall Street, the Dow up 435 points, back over 25K. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Introducing Exchanged, Guam's first online and mobile remittance to the Philippines. Exchanged is the easiest and fastest way to send money to your family and friends anywhere in the Philippines. Download the Exchanged app or visit their website, exchanged.me. Sign up, remit, and get a chance to win a trip for 2 to Manila. Deluxe accommodations at the Belmont Hotel at Resorts World Manila. So sign up and remit now at Exchanged. Promo ends March 2nd, 2019. Conditions apply. Also avail of Exchange dollar to remit promo. Visit exchange.me for details.
Cheers to 80 years. It's our 80th anniversary and the gifts are on us. 80 gift certificates, 8 shopping sprees, 8 staycations, and 1 round-trip flyaway for 2 to Manila. So how do you enter? Calvo's Insurance personal home and auto customers are automatically entered. Non-Calvo's customers may enter by receiving a qualified quote. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us for the past 80 years. For more details, visit calvos.com/giveaway or call 472-6816. Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years.
Picture KFC's world-famous extra crispy chicken. Now, imagine it glistening in hot honey sauce. Just think about the crispy, sweet heat. Now, it's in your sights. Reach for it. Almost there. Oops, this is a KFC radio commercial. But you can make your picture a reality by getting a Hot Honey Tenders basket.
Also available in Hot Honey Chicken Family Meals. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 7 a.m. this Thursday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Governor Lilian Guerrero says she will seek a total Guam exemption in an effort to lift the current restrictions on the H-2B visa program and relieve the shortage of skilled foreign workers on island that she said has had a detrimental effect on Guam's economy. The H-2B crisis topping the list of issues raised by the governor in her speech to the Guam Chamber of Commerce at the Hilton yesterday. She called the decision by Homeland Security to remove the Philippines from the list of countries eligible to take part in the H-2B visa program first and foremost on everyone's mind. However, she noted that the rule change does allow for an exemption for workers needed for projects related to the military buildup. So, she said, our approach will be that all of the construction projects on island are tied to the military buildup. That's the case she said she'll make to Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen when she goes to Washington at the end of next month. Our case for a total Guam exemption is strong, said Leon Guerrero. We are gathering the evidence now, and we will make our case based on the numbers. Acting GMH Administrator Lilian Posadas met yesterday with the visiting survey team from the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The CMS team is on island to check up on the results of the corrective action plan the hospital submitted to the agency last August after a CMS inspection last year found serious deficiencies at GMH which threatened hospitals' Medicare certification, and that put millions of dollars in federal Medicare funds at risk. The CMS team conducted an inspection of the hospital earlier this week, and yesterday they went to the skilled nursing unit in Barragata Heights where Posadas met with them. After that meeting, Posadas told the Guam Daily Post she is confident the hospital has done its best to prioritize patient care and safety. The CMS inspection team arrived on island Monday. They're expected to present their exit report later today. We'll have more news after this.
At Chili's, our burgers stack up with anyone's. Handcrafted to order, smashed to lock in flavor on a toasted brioche bun. Our burgers are all kinds of perfect. Choose from the Chili's Chili, the Mushroom Swiss, the Ultimate Bacon, or you know what? We dare you to take on the Boss Burger. Loaded with smoked brisket, rib meat, jalapeno cheddar sausage, and bacon. We may have really out-burgered ourselves. Our burgers are more than a handful, served with garlic dill pickles and fries. So hurry in today and enjoy our juicy, melty, yummy, handcrafted creations. Perfection between two buns. Chili's. More life happens here.
There's a reason every day a Guam homeowner is getting a solar system installed by Micronesia Renewable Energy. It's because MRE is the most trusted name in solar. With more solar energy solutions than any other solar company on island, homeowners have a choice to go solar for zero money down or take the path to ownership. Whichever way, it keeps our skies blue and your pockets green. And with the most experienced solar technicians and an energy production guarantee, there are no worries. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE. the smarter choice.
10 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. A study conducted by the University of Guam Regional Center for Public Policy has concluded that the perception of corruption on the island has increased substantially in recent years. According to the study, about two-thirds of respondents believe corruption is a very serious problem on Guam. Political parties were viewed as the most corrupt, while religious, military, and nonprofit organizations were viewed as least corrupt. The Guam Corruption Perception Report is the first attempt to measure the perception of corruption. Its authors say the aim is to provide a benchmark for comparison with other countries over time. The results were announced at a news conference yesterday at the university. UOG Professor of Economics Maria Ruan said that the results are based on a survey of Guam residents conducted by the School of Business and Public Administration. Guam's only medical examiner, Dr. Aurelio Espinola, has retired effective today, and no one has been hired to replace him yet. It's unclear who will perform autopsies on island now. The Commission on Post-Mortem Examination was supposed to meet yesterday to decide what to do, but the meeting was canceled. No new meeting date has been announced yet. Payout of Dr. Espinola's retirement benefits has caused a budget shortfall in the medical examiner's budget, and that prompted pleas to the administration for help, which have not yet been answered. Dr. Espinola told the Guam Daily Post earlier this week that he has been asked to stay on call until a replacement has been hired, but he said, "I have to talk to my wife to see if I can still be on call after this week." For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with a look at weather.
Les says partly sunny and breezy today with a slight chance of light showers. Northeast winds blowing 15 to 25 miles an hour. But don't be surprised if you see some 30-mile-an-hour gusts in there today as well. It's breezy these days. Highs near 88 degrees. Cool overnights at 77. Sunset tonight at 6:20. And sunrise tomorrow morning still about 6:48. So keep that in mind if you're making plans to be outside catching sunsets and all of that. We'll take a look at the weather radar right now. And Mike can tell you what well, I'm looking at it right now. What's not happening?
Yeah, not a whole lot out there. We got the strong northeast flow and not much moisture with it now because the shear line has pushed well to the south. So now we're just getting some residual moisture, little kinks in the atmosphere as the flow blows on through. Had some people ask, why are the winds higher in the daytime as compared to the nighttime? And the answer is really kind of complicated, but simply put, when the sun comes up, it heats up the ground. When the ground heats up, the air above it starts to lift. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so where the air is lifting, more air moves in to replace it. Now, since we have a system here that is already furnishing quite a bit of wind and fill, so when the air starts to lift, these winds are able to move on in and push that air on in here, and it actually helps the process out when the sun comes up.
That's all? That's it?
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Huh. So as the air heats up and rises, it's sucking other air in.
That's very much what's happening.
Okay, all right, and I tell you what, I got to say, I'm looking at the Western Pacific satellite imagery, and I got to tell you, there's parts of it just plain pretty.
Yeah,
this is nice. On the northern side of it.
Yeah, we really don't get to see this very much. You can see this big dome of high pressure that's a very slowly clockwise rotation in those clouds, and it looks like we may have another shear line kind of pushing through the northern part of the Marianas. Not sure if that bit of energy is actually going to get this far south, but in the meantime, we're still going to get the high pressure building in with the winds, and especially in the daytime, winds will pick up to in that 20 to 25 mile per hour range, maybe even a gust up to 30. You'll enjoy it, though.
Use that for training purposes. 7:13, that's news and weather together here on The Point.
Are you waiting too long for a home loan decision? Are you looking for a bank that understands your needs and can close your loan quickly at today's super low rates? Then come no further than Bank Pacific. Our home loan specialists are friends and neighbors from your community, and our decisions are made right here in Hagåtña. Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of giggly right now. I got a note from somebody on my socials in response to a story that Kevin read. They had to do a study on corruption. Really? Yeah, well, it's important. It's not just the perception of corruption. It actually leads into a couple of other questions about, including what do you intend to do about it? If you're a member of the taxpaying class and you detect some kind of corruption, what then is your next step? 7:14 in the morning, and portions of the program brought to you by American President Lines. APL is shipping the future. Got my guys over at Micronesia Renewable Energy. There's never been a better time to go solar. Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs. And as Tom Adams points out, hey, they got those water dispensers there over at the GRMC place. And, of course, King's. I don't know they got a water dispenser. They got a lady who'll bring you water if you want. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, Tamuning, and Harmon. Check them out today at King's Restaurant.
Security Title is honored to sponsor Ray Gibson on The Point. In 2019, we resolved to continue our mission of protecting and ensuring the land and homes of our beautiful island. Additionally, we resolved to maintain our vital connection to our families and our community. Protehi Itanomo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Oh, I can hardly wait to see that. Glenn Busby chiming in. Yes, Glenn Busby chiming in. You remember Trader Horn? He says, that's not weather, here's weather. So I can hardly wait for him to show some images here that I might be able to share with you on Facebook Live of what weather is looking like in other parts of the country. As I put up this image here not that long ago of what things are looking like somewhere. And yeah, there's a political dig in here. It says, only 2 years. In only 2 years, Trump fixed global warming. And it's a sign on top of a thing that is covered in snow and ice. So there you go, and that might be kind of moderate based on some of the other images that we're seeing. There was somebody had posted up on Facebook the other day. They posted this picture of it looked like just a bank of snow. But it was a bank of snow, and there were people interspersed in this bank of snow. And you know what they were doing in this snowbank? Digging out their cars, because there was so much snow, it covered the parking lot, and there's still people that have to go to work in the middle of all of that whiteness. So that's one of those things. I like watching winter weather from here on Guam. I like to sit outside the house at 76 degrees with a little bit of a chill, going, I need to go inside and get a sweater because I'm so cold at 76 degrees. I know they're hating it, aren't they? Hey, portions of the program also brought to you by Subway. And they got a couple of things I want to tell you about. One is the bread. They've got garlic bread there, and for the first time in the history of Subway on Guam, you can go in and just buy the bread, and you can make a sandwich out of it, obviously, at your own house. But you know, our preference is, hey, try our sandwiches; they're pretty good too. So I want you to give a shot to the new Chipotle cheese steak sandwich, regular cheese steak, and then they drizzle a Southwest Chipotle flavor on it that you are going to want again and again and again, only for a limited time at Subway. Now that's better.
It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Hour of the program, chat with Tom Dahama Ada over at the Guam International Airport. And, do these things, I have suggestions for the Guam International Airport, but don't do them. You don't have to do them for me. You don't have to do them because I asked you on the radio. It's completely unnecessary. I only do this now for the travelers that I see in a variety of other places because I go to the airport every once in a while. I might travel, 3 or 4 times a year, and I'll go through the airport, and so as you make your way through the TSA line, you're not allowed to bring your water, right? So that means that there's no water on the, you have to buy water or find water on the other side of the TSA screening line. And there's a place where you can buy a bottle of water. I want to say it costs you $5 or something like that. I remember it being fairly expensive the last time I tried to buy water, so I figured I'll just buy beer instead. But in some airport facilities, they have something like this. It's just a water cooler, and you can bend over and drink water if you want to. But it also has a dispenser on the top. So you take your Hydro Flask, or maybe if you're Ray Gibson, your Clean Canteen, and fill up your water from there, and it doesn't cost you anything. And I think, for a lot more families that are traveling through Guam, especially the Koreans, they're spendthrifts to begin with. So let's make it easier on them and make that last experience that they have at our airports a very, very good one. And then they can go home and tell everybody about it. I don't know what these things cost, but I mean, if we're going to put water dispensers in there, let's make them the kind that meet more travelers' needs and give them something to put in their hydro flasks. Anyway, 7:19 in the morning, 888-8255-888-TALK. We'll take a look at what happened on the markets today. It's a good day for the Dow. Did you see this? Dow, the Fed said that they're going to be, kind of taking their time on all of these interest hikes that they're going to be having. And just on that whisper, just on that, Dow Jones Industrial Average back over 25,000, picked up 434 points in our overnight trading, and closing again 25,014. Nasdaq also in the green by 154 points, 7183, and the S&P 500 at 2681. Good news for those of you that have got your funds indexed to those markets. That's a good thing. FTSE is up. The Nikkei is down by 108 points. Hang Seng is going to be opening up in the green. Shanghai opening up in the red, but not by a whole lot. 25.75 for the Shanghai index, and the DAX at 1181. On the commodities, what have I got for you for West Texas crude? Stand by one. I got to change the screen here. 54.29 for that, and that's better than $1 higher than it was yesterday. Maybe I should have left this out. Maybe because the PUC is actually meeting tonight to talk about that. So I don't know. They're trying to figure out what they're going to be going over at the Public Utilities Commission tonight is whether or not there needs to be a reduction in the LEAC, the fuel recovery charge on your bill, whether there needs to be an increase based on what oil has been doing, or shall we leave it the same as we're making our way through this new year. Personally, I'd like to see it go backwards. I think the price of oil has dropped enough so that they'd be able to make it go backwards. However, having said that, the problem is that the Power Authority has kind of already extended credit to the ratepayers to the tune of about $5 million, and they'd like an opportunity to recover some of that. So I don't know. We'll see what the guys over at the Public Utilities Commission say. I think the recommendation from the CUC, the Consolidated Commission on Utilities, was to leave it as is. For those of you that are putting gasoline in the car, yesterday $63.88. Today, Tapas at $62.99. So off a little bit. Yeah, 87 cents less for a barrel of Tapas crude. Maybe that's going to make a difference in the price that you are going to be putting gasoline in your car at today. There are a couple of other things that got my attention today, and to the degree that there might be some hostility between the United States and the country of China. They are because of the trade imbalance that Trump is trying to fix these days. There's a couple of interesting things. I take a nap. You know this. We talk about this. I go home after the program. I take care of some radio station stuff. Go home, maybe fix a sandwich or something like that. And eventually, I'll lay down and take an unspecified length nap. It's kind of nap roulette. And I woke up yesterday and reached for the phone, because I wanted to see what I missed while I was napping. And while I was napping, apparently the Chinese lit off a missile. That's the word I got from the folks over at Homeland Security, Office of Homeland Security and Civil Defense, in conjunction with the Mariana Regional Fusion Center. Federal and military partners continue to monitor events surrounding the region, including reports of a Chinese state media-issued video purporting that China's military had test-fired an intermediate ballistic missile at an undisclosed locations in China's northwest. They said there's no indication the reported test had any connection to Guam or posed an immediate threat to the Marianas, according to new guy Tim Uggan. And I'm glad they felt that way, considering especially the fact that the Chinese actually have a missile called the Guam Killer. Yeah. And so when they start testing missiles, you just kind of go, is this the one that they're going to send over here when they need to make that bright flash go off? So we've always lived in the shadow of nuclear annihilation here on Guam. It's the strategic value that we have. But sometimes those kind of things that just get your attention. You don't want to wake up to that. This morning, the folks over at CNBC reporting China just tested the world's most powerful naval gun. And U.S. intelligence says it will be ready for warfare by 2025. China tested the world's most powerful naval gun earlier this month, and it's expected to enter China's arsenal by 2025, according to sources. The warship-mounted electromagnetic rail gun was first seen in 2011, underwent testing in 2014. They're expected to complete at-sea tests by 2023. And again, according to U.S. intelligence, it should be war-ready if they wanted to use it in 2025. And you're asking, well, that's okay. Chinese got a rail gun. We got a rail gun too, don't we? No, we don't have like that yet.
Yeah, we're working on it, but yeah, we haven't even gotten close.
Yeah, China. These guys are already doing sea trials of them.
Yeah, China's determined to take all of the South China Sea, and there's nothing anyone's really going to be able to do about it.
Yeah. So what's the technology here? Using electromagnetic energy instead of gunpowder to propel rounds. And China's is capable of striking a target 124 miles away at speeds of up to 1.6 miles a second. For perspective, a shot fired from Washington would reach Philadelphia in under 90 seconds. Railguns have long appeared on Russia, Iranian, and U.S. military wish lists as cost-effective weapons that give navies the might of a cannon with the range of a precision-guided missile. They give you an idea of the perspective, the financial perspective of wanting to use a railgun. Navy Tomahawk cruise missiles, those things come with a price tag of about $1.4 million each. With the railgun electromagnetic technology, you reduce that to about $25,000 a round, or about $50,000 per round. So you can see why this would be an attractive feature to have on board some kind of a ship. 7:25 in the morning, 888-8255-888-TALK is the telephone number around here. And if you want to talk about that or other things, that'd be all right. What have I got to take care of now? Oh, it's that time at 7:26 for today's edition of Jerry Roberts and the Extra Point. And it's being brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services.
One important factor in getting ahead in our career is the ability to establish influence in the workplace. If you're not exactly sure what that means or how to do it, then today's program is for you. I'm Jerry Roberts, and we kick open a very important door to yours. Can't have influence if you don't connect with anyone and learn about them. 2, be helpful. If your work is done or you're waiting on your next assignment, rather than get into your phone or a yak fest with others, see if you can assist somebody else. Go to your boss and say, I finished quicker than expected, and I have an hour available. Does anyone need any help? I guarantee this will get you noticed. Number 3, communicate well. This doesn't mean you have to use big words to impress people. Let's try this. Say what you mean and mean what you say, and use the fewest words possible to do that.